Peace, BIO family. I am your host of the live stream, Jabari. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about a topic to basically simplify things. I know there tends to be a habit to overcomplicate things, make things difficult, but today's topic is really don't make things harder than what it is. I'm going to give a minute to allow people to get into the chat, and after that minute, I will be going in. So all right, fam, it's approaching that minute, so I'm going to get into today's topic. And today's topic is don't make things harder than what it is. Before we go into that, I know that there has not been a couple videos on the BIO news. I have about 2 or 3 that I'm going to be dropping later on today. So please, be aware that those videos are coming. I've just been busy the last couple of weeks, last week, and it takes some time to edit. But anyway, there are a couple of points that I would like to address on this topic. The very first thing that, I'm going to bring up is, like it says in the thumbnail, understand the basics. Now, why did I put that on the thumbnail is I'm going to bring an anecdote. So I'm a civil engineer. As y'all know, I'm currently a student at NCAT who is studying civil engineering with a minor in physics. And one of the things that you know when you're in college is you have a curriculum. So me being a civil engineer, I have to take these major classes like statics, fluid mechanics, solid mechanics, and then separate from you know, my civil engineering classes, along with sometimes my AEs, architectural engineers, environmental engineers. I take calculus, I take chemistry, I take physics. So why do I bring that up as it pertains to nationhood? In order for us to even, oh, excuse me, my bad. Before we can, oh my god, before we can, hold on, y'all, give me a minute. All right, before we can even begin talking about nationhood, before we can even, before we can even begin talking about nationhood, we first have to understand that you have to understand the basics before we can even begin talking about the complex issue, talking about how we're going to defend it. The very first thing you have to understand the basics of nationhood. If you don't understand the basics of nationhood, then everything else is going to be pointless. And that's why I brought up my school curriculum. So in order for you to take solid mechanics and fluid mechanics in my class, you would have to take statics and you would have to pass it. You would also have to take surveying. If you want to advance to Cal 2, you have to pass Cal 1. And of course, you want to pass Cal 3, you got to pass Cal 2. And if you want to go to Physics 2, you got to pass Physics 1. And that point is because it's pointless for us to get into any other complex topics if you can't even understand the basics. And when you hear these talking points about nationhood, you don't even have the credentials to even be talking about nationhood because you don't understand the basics of nationhood, what the basics of nationhood encompasses. Before we can even begin talking about, well, what are we going to do with, this particular country how are we going to do this, that? You have to understand the basics. Can you understand the basics, right? Peace to everybody in the chat. Peace to everybody in the chat. Peace Awadi. Peace Deontay Ford. Peace Holipsism. Peace, of course, Richard Regbe. You have to understand the basics, right? And, as we are, progressing, in the BIO with, what's going on in Liberia, of course, it's going there and them having the year of diaspora, which, by the way, let me show that real quick. For those who are not aware, let me get this up for you guys so that y'all do know that this is happening. I did see it yesterday. So let me show you this real quick. So where am I? Okay, right here. I'm about to show my screen really quickly. So I'm about to share my screen really quickly. Um, so if you see right here on the screen, it says lib diaspora frequently asked questions. So that's what is going on at this. This is lib diaspora. Let me get it right for you guys. It is libyearofthediaspora.org, and it says Liberia's Year of the Diaspora Reunion 2021 to 2022 is a year-long event celebration of Liberia's 200-year anniversary and homecoming of its people. After many years of slowdown, Liberia is finally ready to welcome home her children, their families, and all Africans living abroad and in the diaspora. It is our time to shine, to build back up our country, invest, boost the economy, welcome tourists from all around the world. Come join us for family, food, and fun. So that is what is going on in Liberia 2022. It is Lib of Year of Diaspora.org. Please check that out. I'm going to be doing a little bit more on that too, so that you guys can, we can, possibly work within, or since we're going through a trip, we can make a connection with them. So I just want to make that clear. And if you couldn't see it, um, I'm going to show it again. I'm going to show it again. So what? Oh my God, that was not what I wanted. But what we got right now is we have lib year of the diaspora. So I'm going to do that so that y'all can clearly see this. It is lib year of the diaspora. And right here, like I said, this is the frequently asked questions. Here is the about us. Here are some of the partners that you need to know about for their team. So, I'm going to be looking forward to try to work with some of them. But this is Lib Year of the Diaspora 2021, 2022. And of course, they have some destination lists. So they have Providence Baptist Church, Coast Beach, Lib, Echo Lodge, Providence Island, Kepataway Waterfall, Elizabeth Village, Adina, and Robertsport. So those are some of the things that they got in contact for that, and they have the calendar as well. So, if you want to know what they're planning to do, you can do that. So, I just want to share that because I saw that and I feel like that would be important to many of the BIO members. And like Umo just said, here it is for you guys. There is the link. Kundayo Brennan said, how do we connect on Signal? Are you signed up to the website? Once you're signed up to the website and we have verified that you are there, we can then add you on Signal because we will have, contact information and we will be able to, be able to add you on Signal. But we need you to sign up first before we can, do all of that. So getting back on the topic, about, because I just want to get that out there in the BIO news. Now, getting back to the topic, I bring those point up to calculus 1 in order to get to calculus 2, to physics 1 to get to the physics 2, is because you have to understand the basics first. Before you ask us, what we refer to as Negro stalling tactics, or, the Captain Black America arguments, or the militant integrationist arguments, we okay, well, you said you've been signed up a little bit, so I'll get haul up on that. Haul up, if you can deal with that, that would be appreciated. um but yeah, before you can ask as well where the land at. We already got the land. Don't overthink that. It's called Liberia. And like I said, they just got us the year that I asked, but that's on here. We already got the land. It's called Liberia. Don't overthink it. We have a tendency for, I guess, like you said, maybe because they don't want to go, but this tendency to overthink things, this tendency to make things more complicated than what it is. Land, infrastructure, nationhood. Like Hollip said, it's 3 words. It's simple: land that we are able to live on, that we're able to control; infrastructure, controlling the system, make sure the system is beneficial to us; and nationhood, being a legitimate nation that's recognized throughout the world and we can, participate in global affairs. That is what LIN basically stands for. It's simple like that. We don't need these a bunch of whataboutism making it overcomplicated, because another argument that we were bringing up in the signal was, there was some comment on one of our videos where they're just like, white supremacy is global, and there's not a single place where, um yeah, like Umoja said, we communicate daily, y'all. It only takes signing up to the BAIO, so we know that you are deep and simple. We don't ask for money, no membership dues or donation. Just communicate with us. That's all we're asking. Just sign up to the website, and everything else will take care of itself. But to continue on about asking those questions about, white supremacy is global, treating, like you said, the whiteness as being Thanos, is that when you overcomplicate things, you properly can't make the right adjustments and make the right moves. Okay? If you don't want another Black Wall Street to happen, the basic thing is just don't make, just prepare for it, right? I remember watching a video. It was on France 24, be it as it may, but it was France 24, and it was talking about young Russians. And it was talking about this 18-year-old Russian. He was about to be a Russian adult. And he was talking about, he was going to go join the Secret Service. That was his plan. And he said, I'm a patriot. He said, if you want to wage peace, if you want to keep peace, be prepared to wage war, right? He said that because just be prepared. If you are prepared, all of that other stuff about white supremacy and stuff, that stuff will end up being properly handled once you understand the basics. If you can't understand the basics of self-defense, or the basics of, nationhood and preserving the nation, then we can't even talk about the components, because you don't even understand the basics. That's why we ask, listen, do you believe in having a nation of our own? And do you believe we should make a relationship with the country that was founded by African Americans? Liberia. Simple. It's that simple. We want a nation of our own. We recognize that we already have one. It's called Liberia. Simple. That's all you need to know. Making it complicated, well, this ended up happening and that stuff ended up happening. Listen, even with that whole situation, don't make it complicated than what it is. Okay? The simple one word, even though there's much more details to it that I could go to, the simple thing that happened between the indigenous and the, Americans, was power and inclusion. 2 simple words, keeping it simple. We don't need this whole paragraph, because one of the famous phrases that is often said is, if you cannot explain something in a simple sentence or one sentence, you do not fully understand the concept of what you were talking about. We are talking about Liberia, 1, because it was founded by African Americans. 2, it is on the coast, right where we want geography-wise. It's great geographically. Three, there's a year of the diaspora, 2021 to 2022. Nothing else to complicate it. No, where do we need to go and all this other stuff, right? Same thing about what we see what's going on with some African Americans being, he said was being, attacked, or African Americans were being, downed on in some parts of Africa. Simple. Go as a group. Go as a group. Keep things simple. Don't make things more complicated than what they are. I remember in my statics class, my teacher would always say, don't make it complicated. You're overthinking it. I'm adding forces that weren't even there on this problem. She said find the summation of the forces, and you trying to add in a bunch of forces that aren't there. If the force is not there, it's not there. Don't make that assumption. If it's not given to you in the problem, and it's not that type of problem, don't assume or don't make things complicated than what they are. Okay? If you believe we should have a system of our own, you believe in land infrastructure nationhood, whether you want to admit it or not. You're complicating what it is, but at the basic tenets, you believe in what we're saying. If you say, well, African Americans have their own culture, their distinct heritage, and all this, right? Well, we recognize that. So we're advocating for a country for African Americans, right? And that country is Liberia, right? Simple. Not making things overcomplicated, not making things, like it's rocket science. This is not rocket science. Once you understand the basics, you can do anything. Similar to me when I was doing public policy in Johannesburg. Once I understood the basics of public policy, I could easily write a public policy proposal. I understand the basics. Because once you understand the basics, that serves as your foundation. I was originally, for the thumbnail, going to have the base of a building being constructed. Because the foundation is everything. The foundation, the blueprints, the 3D model, when not you use AutoCAD, what we call AutoCAD, and all these other StormCAD, if you're doing water and waste management, runoff, that is the foundation. We can get to the other details. We understand there are concerns. We have addressed that. We've addressed that before. But at the end of the day, we need you to understand the basics. We can't get into the specifics if you don't understand the basics, because you're going to be lost. We can answer specific questions, but we just need to know, are you here for the basics? We are not asking you to come to us with a PhD. We're not asking you to come with a master's degree. We are not asking you to come with all that. Now, that would be beneficial in the BAIO. Obviously, we need skills, but we're not making that a prerequisite for everybody, because that's not everybody's cut out to be. All we are saying is come to us with the basics. If you come to us with the basics, we can help you get along that path. That's what this whole stream was about. Understand the basics. If you can't understand statics, you're not going to understand fluid mechanics. You for sure ain't going to understand solid mechanics, and you for sure ain't going to understand structural analysis. And what we, what I've learned. That's the important thing that I just want to thing. And that's why, this wasn't really long. I kept it brief, because that's what it is. Keep it simple, keep it basic, don't overthink it. We are not asking for you to be an expert, right? So that's what this whole like thing was, and that's one of the points that I see over and over again with Captain Black Americans. They'll give us essay after essay, essay after essay. I'm not here for your whole essay. Like, we don't need an essay. you know. But anyway, this is a short live. I mean, I really don't have nothing else to say because I'm very brief. I'm like, there's really nothing. Like I said, I'm to the point. I'm not one of these people that feels the need to talk. I can explain stuff in like 2 to 3 sentences. So I pretty much made my points, and I'll let you speak, Emoja.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to add a little bit to it, to what you said. Like you made it really clear. Thank you for just being straight, clear, concise about what we need. And I want to stress the importance of people. You know, because like it seems like there's people who say that they're in agreement, or and then it's a lot of people, it seems like they're like, well, why haven't you done it already, why haven't you did this, why haven't you did that, or they'll have these ideas, and the first thing I think about is because like, well, because we need you and your ideas to like do it. Like let's say me and you, Jabari, go to Liberia next year, just me and you, and we're scrambling to try to talk to authorities. We're scrambling trying to talk to local organizations, scrambling to try to talk to government officials, and they just see two African Americans talking like they want to change the world. Like we might just get laughed at. We might just get a cold shoulder. We might just get brushed off. We might even get hustled. But if we come with 15, 20, 25 of us, and then we have a conference call with another 200 of us that's back there, and they could talk to some civil engineers, some teachers, some construction workers, then it's like, wait a minute, they actually have a plan. They actually have a plan, and they have people backing their plan. And this is why Lebanese people can come into the on the continent and build. This is why Chinese people go to the continent and build, is because they have people backing them, and they come with a plan. And it's like BIO, our ideals seem to get scoffed at, or are looked at like they're unbelievable, because people aren't understanding that it's people that we need. Like we always say, we're not asking for a dime from people. We're not asking for anything except for their body and their expertise right now. And then once they come and they see that it's something actually happened, people will willingly give to, let's say, a fund for people who can't really afford to make the trips to the continent. They would give to funds once they say, hey, we actually got a contract, and we're going to start building this, whatever it is, a well, right? But as of right now, it's like, no, we need people with the expertise who really want this. And I see so many of us going at it alone, like just worried about what can I do, where can I go on the continent to make something happen for me so I can get away. When it's like, well, what? Just think, what if? I mean, Africa has the same problem with disunity, and it's such a old conversation that I don't even want to say we need to unite, because it seems like that's, I mean, woke. woke. It's just like saying that to me now. It's like, how long do we got to keep talking about what we need to do before we actually do it? And it has to be enough we out there. It has to be enough people who still believe in we for us to actually do it. But we seems to have a hard time to agree. Some people might agree and say, "No, Liberia, I don't want to do it in Liberia. Let's do it in Zanzibar." You know, some people might say, "Yes, I want to do it." However, I think we should start with building a military first, right? Like it's like, why can't we just come to agree that we need all of these things to do what we say that we want to do? So I just want to stress the importance of people. If you like what Jabari be saying on these live streams, if you are into what the BIO stand for, come to the website and sign up and you can communicate. I promise you, we communicate daily through several different platforms, text, and it's not always just like mash, lean. We have fun. We a bunch of brothers and sisters who laugh and joke all the time. It's not just a left, right, because we actually have to communicate and laugh with each other so we don't cry every day thinking about how bad our people is worldwide though. You know, it's not just America. Worldwide, we are having problems. And we're trying to escape. We going to Mexico, we going to Panama City, we going to Costa Rica, we going to Europe, we going, some of us even going to Africa, but we still are alone in the world, particularly as Black African Americans and the diaspora, you know, and it's just something so serious. But we just need the people. If you somebody who's saying, how do I get on the Discord and everything else, tell somebody else, because guaranteed you know somebody in your life who feels the same. Tell somebody else, talk to us. You might even like us, and then we could actually build what we saying that we want to build. We need the people. We need the people, not your pockets. We need you. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. And just to put it simply, if you feel like, dude, yes, you can. Um, yeah, you can. It's in the chat. So you're in the signal. You can just hop on. I already put the thing in there and you can come on, dude. So it's no problem. But to keep it simple, you know, basically to keep it simple, what Umoja was saying is, listen, if you feel that, well, you know, African Americans are going to be attacked, or African Americans, they're going to come and see us as foreigners and they're going to pick us apart. Then you come as a group. You don't come as individuals. You don't like that's what we mean. Just come in a group. It's simple. No, nothing complex, nothing, rocket science. If you feel that certain Africans are going to see us as foreigners or something to pickpocket us, come as a group so that you have the necessary, support that you need. It's like what I said before, and Dawood can attest to it, and I said it earlier. If you don't understand the basics, then we can't get anything done. If you can't understand the basics of statics, I can't bring you to solid mechanics and structural analysis because you're going to need the knowledge from statics to use in solid mechanics and structural analysis. If
Indeed.
you want to talk about, a military and this stuff, do you understand the basics of self-defense? Do you understand the basics of an economy? We can't, other than if we can't do that, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you don't even understand the basics of land infrastructure nation. Infrastructure is all the stuff that you were talking about, the military, the economy. Simple. Don't need to give a whole essay or this. Nah. Simple to the point. That's it.
Peace, y'all. How's it going?
It's going good.
How you been, brother? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I've been
Oh,
doing really well. I've been trying to do as much as I can to, get the message out about Liberia, trying to create manifestos, brochures, anything that I can give to people that they can just get a basic overview. That's what I'm doing. Um, I got in contact with another Liberian. I'm going to try to see later on. It may not be next week, but like in the future that I can bring her on for an interview. That's what I got going on right now. So yeah.
word. And I definitely Appreciate all your efforts, brother. And I tried my best to let you know that. I wanted to share something according to the conversation that y'all were having. I just recently started watching Godfather of Harlem. And, because my dad was around at those times, I started asking him about it because, it's basically centers around the release from jail of Bumpy Johnson and his dealings with Malcolm X and both of their fights to kind of operate in Harlem with the opposition of the Italians. And the Italians are trying to choke them out of doing what they're doing. So I asked my father about this. My father said something that was very interesting to me. It was kind of shocking, but not. My father said to me, he said, well, you got to understand, black people couldn't be making money. I'm on the phone, mama. He said, black people, I'm on the phone. He said, black people couldn't really be making money in the daytime like that. He said, because if you were making money, then you were either shut down or murdered by certain classes of white people. And what I thought was interesting about the whole situation is that that's a story that's never really told. They make it seem like when we came out of slavery, everything was gravy for us and we were just lazy. But when you look at this particular thing in Godfather of Harlem, some people want to watch it for the drug part of it. Some people want to watch it for the Nation of Islam part of it. And then some people just are interested. But the thing that grabbed my attention was this was a violent and strategic struggle between a black man, two black men trying to build an enterprise, and a Italian majority that basically would dedicated to snuffing them out and controlling their area. What we're proposing with the BAIO and why people don't really understand why we say we want it off the shores of America and why we want it on the continent of Africa, specifically Liberia, is that we're tired of this particular struggle because not much has really changed. We have been able to make a little bit more money and grow a little bit more enterprise. But my dad always says this, and my dad is in the BIO, so anybody could question him. He always says, a man with my skills and ability is not making the same amount of money and having the same amount of influence as a white man or a man of another privileged color that with the same skills and ability. And so, what does that really mean? Does that mean that you trying to build a business in America and you trying to use your skills in America? That means you'll experience some kind of success. But will you experience the success that you really need to experience, or you deserve, I should say, to experience based on the time you put in building your skill and being able to operate at a high level in your industry? The answer is no, you won't. And you get some success, but not the full level of success, which means what? Which means life is an uphill battle for you, which means that you're going to die early because you've been stressed out and under severe amounts of pressure trying to do what you've been trying to do for so many years. What we're trying to propose when we talk about land infrastructure and nationhood, what we're trying to propose is we're trying to propose a situation where you or your children can build something and you ain't got to struggle uphill doing it, and you can experience the maximum fruit for your efforts. And that's that. I think that's an underserved talking point in the Black movement conscious community. It's a day-to-day talking point in the BIO, but it's something that people don't really understand, which is you can go to school for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. But the question is, what are you going to get out of you going to school when you come out and you're gifted and skilled and doing what you're supposed to do, but you still can't experience the full benefits of your skills, and you're always going to be marginalized to the point where you got some money, but not all. You understand what I'm trying to say, bro?
It,
Absolutely. It's so good to
it's
hear your
super
it's so good to
simple.
hear your voice.
Yeah, I'm
Likewise,
about to
But
brother.
say the word. Go ahead, emotion.
is what you're saying is that you will never be able to fully experience your full potential here.
Yep.
And not only is that by design, and then if you do, let's say if you do, and like we think a lot of us think full potential as in like, okay, maximizing dollars. Okay, let's say if
Right.
you do that, you're going to be asked to compromise. You're going to be
Yep.
you're going to be asked to do some things that you know in the back of your conscience is not what you want to do. You're going to be asked to do some things like, no, you stay away from your people. You better not be talking about no black
Right.
nationalism. You better not be
Right.
talking about no black power stuff. Matter of
Right.
fact, you're fired. Or if you do try to go and get your full potential, you're going to be fighting against your people, because the system is made to be dog eat dog. It's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I can't try to help you because I'm trying to build my own business. No, I can't
Mm-hmm.
bring you on because I'm trying to build my own. So yeah, here you hit it on the nail on the head, in that you won't be able to really experience your full potential all around. I'm talking about, and then still be spiritually filled, still be
Right.
still feel healthy, still feel psychologically filled, like I'm doing the right thing, and I'm making some money, and I'm taking care of my people, and I'm building my nation. You're not going to be able to do that here, and we know that,
Right.
but we still
Right.
fight for that.
Yep.
And hold on, last thing about the school thing, though. Last thing about the school thing. What people don't realize about school, and I'm talking as somebody with a master's degree, when your ass go and try to get that mortgage, the one thing that's gonna really put a ding on everything is your college debt. I promise you, y'all.
Yes.
That does not go
Yes.
anywhere. They don't let you put that on you. You can't go bankrupt and it disappear. You can't do nothing in that disappear. So it sounds really nice, like, yeah, I got these degrees and everything else. But then whenever you go and try to use something with your credit, something big like a house, oh yeah, well, sir, you still owe all these thousands on that
Yeah.
college loan. So yeah, you got to
Yeah.
be
And,
smart, people.
and can we speak about and also with that, I'm going to address Baruti's point, but even with that simple, like, if you don't like the fact that American schools are constantly putting you in debt and all this stuff, why don't you just go study abroad in another country? Like,
Right.
keep it simple. Don't make it. If I can't afford a college here in America, have I ever thought about maybe going to school at the University of Johannesburg, the University of Cape Town, the University of Nairobi? Keep it simple. Don't overthink, like, oh, I got to do all of this, that, and third. Don't overthink that. Look at your options. Think about going to study abroad. You could apply there and you could get in there. You know, so, you know, like
Well,
Umoja said, when you
let me add
don't,
to what you're saying, bro. Let me add to what you're saying. See, me, um, brother Dawood, in my personal life, I had to go through some financial changes in order to be a little bit. You need to calm down, okay? Thank you. Sorry about that.
no,
I
you're
had
good.
I had to go through some financial changes in order to to be in a better place. And so I got on what's called the Dave Ramsey program, and that kind of liberated me from what I was dealing with. But I didn't have college debt. And I can remember listening to these shows where all these people, white and black people, were calling in, and they had like $120,000 debt, $150,000 debt. And in order to get out of this debt, they had to, bro, man, they had to work their asses off. They had to get 2 jobs, 3 jobs, pick up a shift here, sell all your stuff. And I'm saying to myself, like, okay, this is kind of cool that you're teaching these people that, but goddamn, isn't it kind of ass backwards for you to go that far in debt to get a degree in order to make this kind of money, only to give and sacrifice your health and a certain amount of years of your life trying to get rid of it? It seems like a dog chasing his tail. And so I'm not against anybody going to college. And, I give mad credit to you, Emoji. I didn't even know you had a master's degree. But at the same time, I look at the whole situation, I say, damn, that's a because think about it this way. I was in that rat race a couple of years ago where I was working 3 jobs. I was working my regular job, I was working at the arena, and then I was doing Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, and all that other bullshit. And I can tell you, man, bro, that my health was terrible. I mean, it was terrible. And my mental sanity was terrible because as a man that has the skills, abilities, certifications, and really just smarts as me, it just it was kind of low grading for me to just be driving people from one place to another, to be driving food from one place to another. But I didn't have no choice. I had to do it. I was in car debt. I wasn't in student loan debt. I was in car debt, and my car was 2 to 3 months behind, and I had to do all of that in order to get out of that situation. So here it is. The model of America is that you go to school and you go into debt in order for you to make more money than the average person. But then you come out and you just like the average person, or sometimes worse, because those people that get high paying jobs in certain industries, they don't have the debt that you got. And now you try to go into more debt to look like them by buying a certain car, wearing certain clothing, and it's a rat race. What we're trying to propose is the answer to all of this bullshit. We're saying that we want to build a nation, not where education is going to be quote unquote free, but where education will be available to you, and it won't be in that kind of system that we're here, where you're chasing your tail and you're losing your health. Because I have to believe that working your ass off to 4, 5, 6, 7 jobs has something to do with us dying early. I have to believe
Yeah,
that.
no, they did a study, dude, that said that people who work like 50 to 60 hours die early and they die of stroke because there's something called capacity. There's a
Right.
reason why there's called a capacity, like the environment, right? There's something
Mm-hmm.
called carrying capacity. That's the maximum an environment can take before it collapses. You go
Mm,
over that, it collapses
mm,
because there are peaks. This idea of infinite, and this is why I'm anti-capitalist. Is this in capitalism, it relies on what's called infinite growth with finite resources. So
mm.
you have to have this infinite growth that is not possible. You can't grow forever.
Right. 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 Right.
Well, and then this is the key though, y'all. And I figured this out. I figured this out once y'all start coming into to let's just call it black consciousness, is that America is designed to keep us busy.
Yep.
America is designed to keep you so busy and entertained so that you don't have the energy to organize, so that you don't have the energy to buck against the system.
Yeah, the
Wake up,
gladiators.
go till 9 to 5, working 8 to 12, and some people even 14 hours. Then you got to go home, commute home. If you have a
Mm-hmm.
family, you got to deal with your family. You got to help the kids with homework. You got to cook dinner. You got to do all this. And by that time, you don't have any time to do hobbies. You don't have any time to create. You don't have any time to sit back and think about life because you already thinking
Nope.
about getting back to work and finish the project the next day. And
Yep.
that's your 24 hours. You always busy, busy, busy. That's America. Busy, 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 busy. Busy, busy. I remember a
Yeah,
sister just the other day was talking about she was in Africa and she was like, people was just walking, almost dragging their feet because they don't got nowhere to go. No, they're just not in a rush to go everywhere. They're just not in a
Yo.
rush to go everywhere. Go ahead.
Yo. That's your little man. I'm sorry. What's it called? And to kind of veg you back, because you're so right, bro. Like, first of all, Nation of Islam saying by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the white man keeps us so busy we don't have time to think. That's a very common Nation of Islam saying, and it is 100% alignment.
did you stop?
Interrupt your stream. What did I end on? Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. I thought your thing stopped for a second.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought it was me, but
No,
yeah,
no,
you're
no.
good
Somebody
now.
tried to call me. I had to send them a voicemail. So I go to this accountability meeting with these some very smart brothers like twice a week. Excuse me, once every 2 weeks. And one of the brothers said something that kind of knocked my socks off. He said that there are people from a certain part of the world, and these people are, because of where they're born, they're used to abundance. And then there's a people from a certain part of the world, because of where they're born, they're used to scarcity. And this dictates the culture, the infrastructure, and the mind state. So think about African people, Black African people. If you were born in a place where vegetation, sunlight, water, minerals, all that stuff was plentiful, you don't look at kind of giving somebody else those resources as you losing, because you've always grown up around it. You don't know what it's like not to have that. When you grow up in a cold weather, kind of frigid environment where nothing grows, and you have to make sure that you store enough, because you could always run out and things like that, then all you're ever trying to do is grab as much as you can for yourself. And you know what I'm saying? Because you in your mind, hardwired into your consciousness, is that one day you're going to run out. So if you think about it from that kind of axis, and begin to, develop that, you can see why we are the way we are and other people are the way they are, because hardwired into our consciousness, even when we're in the ghetto and starving, is abundance. And I've said this on many occasions. When I was younger, my mom would send me to a white neighborhood for summer camp, and everything was about buy your own, buy your own, buy your own. And the funny thing about it is that at the end of the day, when I would get on that bus and come back to the ghetto, there was a whole bunch of black people waiting to share their cheese doodles with me, their popcorn with me, some of their 25-cent juice. It was a culture shock. I said, damn, how come when I go over there, it's like this? But when I come back over here, even my enemies, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying my enemies want to share with me, but even they sharing with each other. So built on that and thinking like that, we're trying to build a nation slowly but surely that is built on the model and the thinking of abundance, where a man and a woman could come in, not saying that we always going to have, but what's yours is mine and mine is yours, and we are here to be abundant. There's not really one state in America, I think, that goes by that mentality.
Yeah, and to even just to further simplify, I think that one of the things that people have to understand about the systems and all of that is the reason why we talk about the system is because in order to reach your full potential, there is something called factors. Just like in econ, you have factors of production. When To address Baruti's comment real quick, he says, "Dawood, black people should in mass be
See
trying
that?
to become professional." We should be, but the thing about it is, like he said, when you're going into college dead, I mean, if they're getting into college dead, they're not going to be able to leave. So we pretty much just have a bunch of people who are educated that can't come and can't invest because they're literally saddled in debt and don't and can't use their potential. And that's what we're talking, and
You know
that's
the
why I want
problem
to
is though,
simplify
bro.
with
Hang
the
on.
fact.
You
Let
know what the
me
problem is,
let me
brother Jabari, though? You know, let me just
Yeah,
throw
go
go
this
ahead,
out
ahead.
there real
minister.
quick. The
Go ahead,
problem
minister.
is
For sure.
the problem the problem, brothers, is that the people, black people who go to school, don't have a nation that they have loyalty to. And so they're not going to get whatever skills they're getting for a nation, they're going to get it for themselves. And because of that, it's not really focused on the betterment of an ecosystem, it's focused on what little benefit they think they're going to get for themselves. So when we go to college, a lot of us don't know what the fuck we're going to college for. We're just going because our mothers and
Speak
fathers
on it.
told us that if you don't go to college, you're going to be a loser. You know what I'm saying?
Or
But
you
if
go in
Exactly.
the
you had
military.
national loyalty and race loyalty, yeah, that too, that too, yep. If you had national
Now,
loyalty and race loyalty, then you would be going to school for something that you knew you needed.
let
When
me
you
get
say
let me
that
get
we should go into skilled trades, I'm in a skilled trade myself. Go ahead, big bro.
let me
Go ahead.
give my perspective on that. So first of all, you can still go if you have college debt. You know, you just gonna be paying American debt while you in Africa forever. but in
Right.
terms of in terms of the skill trades, the beautiful thing about that, see, here's my experience. When I was like 20, 21, I was in a union and literally didn't even know that I didn't even understand the concept of union. This is how green I was, and this is how much lack of knowledge that I had because no one was there to pass it down to me, right? I was in a union and I was looking around and I was like, man, all these people look all old and toe up and stuff. I'm not stupid. I'm gonna go to school. And I did sit and think what I want to do. I thought about doing computer science, but at the time wasn't into to computers and stuff. And you know, I grew up in like foster cares and group homes and stuff like that. So I was like, I want to be a social worker. Like I made that conscious the decision. I didn't look at how much it pays. I didn't look at how much college was. I got a couple of grants and scholarships. Ended up getting a master's in social work. Worked in it for like 10 years. Loved it. And then when nationhood came up, I was like, wait a minute. I need to know how to build something. I literally shook that, got into a union, got into it. Now I'm in a carpenters union doing exterior and interior stuff. You know, now I'm doing that,
Oh,
and I'm
word.
trying to get into word. That's what I do
But
for a
see,
living. I
even
build
with
shit now. So I'm like, I want to
That
be
is
able to
what the
build the
fuck
school
is
and teach
up.
in it.
but
But
even
listen
but
to
hold
it.
on, wait.
Let's
Even
hold on,
though,
Let me finish. Let me finish because I will forget. I know myself.
okay,
Let me finish, please.
Go ahead,
And
baby. Go ahead, baby.
so
Go ahead.
so and I could attribute that to the BAIO too, because I was like, I need to know how to build so I can contribute to wherever I go. But but once I did that, once I did that, now I'm like, see, I promise you, it didn't. it didn't left me. That damn quick. I told you I forget. Go ahead, Jabari. When it come back to me,
No,
I speak on it. I don't want to pause the whole stream because I done
It'll
lost
come back,
track
big
no,
now.
brother.
it's good. It's
But
good.
that was great
What
what
I
you were
was
saying though.
saying, the reason why I was interrupted, the reason I said, even with Umoja with social work, you need social workers because you're gonna need Black people who, if they have, some sort of, mental illness or stuff like that, you're gonna need social
That's what
workers
I
within
did.
these.
That's what I
Yeah,
did.
and
I worked.
so
I worked as a clinical. I worked as a clinical social worker. And do you know how much I learned? I got so much of my knowledge because the last place I was working was a Black mental health treatment facility. This is where I was introduced to so much knowledge because I was teaching it to other people. It literally changed my life. Like I appreciate it so much. I can't even express how much I appreciate it. But at the same time, it broke my heart because I started to see our conditions when you work with, and that's why I'm so short now with people because I'm like, y'all just need a like psychology 101 class because y'all sound crazy. Like seriously, like the mental gymnastics that we
Word.
do to want to stay here. That's the one thing that I got, but I just don't walk around with that title on my chest like I'm a mental health counselor. No. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. So, but what Holland was saying, because he was right about that, saying that we're not trying to build a utopia, we're just trying to build our own. And it's like when we talk about Africa, you will hear people. I'm gonna give this one example, then I'm gonna let y'all touch on this because I know y'all can. Here is one example how like Africa has to be perfect for people to move. They'll say something silly like, well, I don't want to go somewhere where there's crime or corruption. And I'm like, mother, you live in America. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
You don't want to go somewhere where it's
Exactly.
crime and corruption. Like just because of all these shiny things, America is horrible. Like horrible and going
Yeah,
down
you
fast.
mean
But
like
just because you can
Chicago?
watch it, oh my God. You will hear somebody from
St.
Chicago saying
Louis,
that they don't want to go
Cleveland.
somewhere where there's crime and corruption. And it's like it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's just crazy. But I'm gonna let y'all touch on it because Holla did make a good point
Yeah,
about that.
and I can simplify what Holland is saying. We're not asking for a utopia. We are saying we want to be able to go somewhere where we decide what we want to do. Simple as that.
Right.
When he brings up the
Right.
example of you moving into your first apartment, it may not be a utopia, but guess what? I can buy whatever food I want to buy. I can go to bed when I want to. I can wear what I want to wear. That's what we're talking about. I don't have to have these certain standards, right? I can go into my own apartment and I can do whatever I want to do that I think is match best as long as it doesn't do any destruction or anything like that. I can do what I want. I can go to bed when I want to. When I'm in my apartment, I can talk to y'all on Discord all night. But when I go back to my parents, I have to be aware that by midnight, I am not able to continue to be on the Discord. That's what we're talking about here.
Hmm.
Nobody's saying it's going to be rainbows and we're going to have golden streets and waterfalls full of milk and honey. We're not saying that. We're saying, listen, do you want to have your own government where you are able to control your own destiny? Do you want a country where you feel patriotic to, right? Do you feel proud to be that nationality? That's all we're asking. We're not
But
asking you. Yeah, go ahead.
but
let
you
me
know
add to
what's
this, bro.
the but you go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me add to this. Um, it's a two-part answer because there was a person that made a video about Harlem a couple of months ago, and I'm so busy I never got to respond to it, but I want to respond to it today. There's people who say that we are trying to build a utopia, and then there's the other people who say, well, what are y'all bringing back to Africa because y'all going to try to colonize it or y'all going to do the same thing over there that you do here? Okay, well, if you bring me over there and I'm doing the same thing over there that I'm doing over here, well, what am I doing over here? Oh, you mean my domestic violence program? Or maybe you mean me handing out free food, or maybe you mean me moving women from bad situations. Like niggas don't understand sometimes. You got to think before you speak or before you just make a video reacting to a thought that you have no full idea about. Because the
Dude,
majority of the people who are in, say what? You lost
dude,
me?
I can simplify that further when he says you're going over there. acting like a colonizer.
No, let me finish, bro. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. But what I'm saying is that the majority of the people that I know in the BAIO, these are men and women who already were in the movement in some way, shape, or form. So we were already beautifying our communities or trying to beautify
Exactly.
what little we can of our communities. We just were limited in our ability to do it over here. We got tired of the bullshit and said, let's take it to somewhere where it's unlimited, where everybody pretty much thinks the way we think on that level. Not everything that we want, but on that level, which is we need to stick together and it's not limited by somebody else's resources. So to tie into the utopia situation, listen, if in fact your answer to nationhood is that we are delusional and we're trying to build a utopia, then we really don't need niggas like you anyway. Because
Period.
if your thoughts, if that's the only reason why you think that it's not a good idea, then basically you're a coward. Because anytime, it's just like anything, like if you're in a situation, like you're in a bad marriage or bad relationship or whatever, you're telling me that the only way you're going to move out of that relationship is if there's a utopia waiting for you? Or are you tired of getting your ass mentally and spiritually kicked and you got to get out of the presence of this person so you can grow again? That's the question. And if you can't answer
Let,
that
let
straight,
me talk.
then we already know. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me say
Go ahead,
something
bro.
to the utopia. It's the thing where like you know how you in your parents' house and you get your first apartment. You might not have the
Mm-hmm.
cable hooked up. You might not have your room. Plus, you might not have all the dishes and how your mom keep the living room straight. But when you look up and wake up and it's your own shit, that feels great. I don't. That
Yeah.
feels amazing. Or if you was in a relationship living with the man or woman and y'all was together and you ain't had your own space in years and it didn't work out, and you have your own space to do what you want, that feels great. Now on the flip side, you have those people who are mentally weaker and they are terrified to be by themselves. They don't understand about paying bills. They don't understand about keeping a budget and everything else. So it terrifies them and they're much more comfortable. So they're 35 and they still live with their mothers. So you do have those
Yep.
type of people, and that seems like the type of people that we have to deal with.
Yeah, and
Yo,
I
listen,
wanted to
I
address.
can share from. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
I was gonna let you go because I
I,
have some stuff to say, but I'll let you go.
okay. Well, I'm just going to say this. I just recently experienced that personal situation. So, in other words, I was with somebody for a decade and the situation got unmanageable and I had to leave. And I left children behind and I moved into a small situation, a room. And I had to deal with that because does it really make sense to leave a situation where you was in a partnership with somebody and then jump out to a luxury apartment? Doesn't make sense for you to leave that situation and jump into something huge just to show the other person that, you know what I'm saying, like they're losing something because you're doing better? Or does it make sense for you to leave the situation, get your fucking life together, get your emotions together, emotionally kind of move on from the situation, and then you expand as you go? And so, having been out of the situation for a while, I recently just got a bigger place, a better place, and my own place. And mad people were criticizing me when I first moved out. Oh, I can't believe you're doing this, and you're wasting money, and it's cheaper for you to stay there or whatever. But what was more important? Was my mental and emotional well-being more important? Or was it more important that I satisfy you niggas by staying in a situation because I'm so cold? And you know what? How that is totally, I think, analogous to this utopian situation. The reality of it, bro, is when you move out of America into a small part and you call it a nation and you're developing it slowly but surely, you know what you do? You kind of embarrass these motherfuckers who've been trying to say that they've been doing something in America for years because you're proving that it works. And that's what I did. What I did is I proved that staying in a relationship and lying and cheating and just staying there doesn't work. So now everybody that criticized me is on notice because now you have to do something. Now you have to do something about you being on the white man's couch for years. Now you have to do something about you living in one room and your lady living in another room, but you out there doing. You understand how perfect the analogy is, the connection is? When you move out of America into your own territory, what you do is you expose all of these black power posers and fakes who for years have said that we can't do that. We have to stay here and fight the fight here. When you move out and you do it on a small scale, in the beginning, it's going to look like it's going to look crazy because you're not going to have what you want. But ultimately, going forward, what you do is you make them look stupid because now they have to account for the fact that we've been bullshitting all of these years. We've been bullshitting all of these years, and now we have to do something. The BAIO did something, and what you'll find is when we do get our first piece of land, there will be much more people against what we're doing, not because they don't agree with our idea, but because what we're doing exposes their hypocrisy. And that's what I went through. I had friends that was telling me not to move out. I had, close family members that was telling me that I was making a mistake. And they were in the same goddamn situation I was in, but they had found a way to be comfortable in it by lying, cheating, and stealing. And I said, fuck that. I'm a man that lives by rules and I'm a righteous man. I'm going to address the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is I have to go. So when will you niggas out there who keep criticizing us address the elephant in the room? When will you get off of his couch and actually do something about your situation to make your life better instead of justifying it and saying that we need to stay here because it's cheaper to keep her? When will you do that?
Yeah, so there's 2 points I would like to address. The very first point let me just bruise these points because he's been asking for this a lot. He says address the two comments collectively on the comparison and similar of the Liberia versus Rwanda. They're very similar in understanding, group benefit, and the Rwanda group could serve as a satellite community for Liberia, as Liberia would be our nation state, and they would just serve as, as a satellite, community, since they're in Rwanda, and there would be a collective, and since Liberia was founded by African Americans, it would be our nation state. But I really need to say this quote. Even it was quoted by a Filipino man. It's from the Philippines. All right. It was by a man by the name of Manuel Quezon. I want y'all to listen to this. Is from the Philippines in Southeast Asia. He said the following. Manuel L. Quezon. You can look it up. He said, "I would rather have a country run like hell by Filipinos than a country run like heaven by the Americans. Because however bad a Filipino government might be, we can always change it." That quote is one of the most famous quotes, and it's one of the most accurate quotes I've ever heard. He makes that point because the point he's saying is, listen, no matter how bad it may be, we control the situation. We are in the driver's seat. It could be peaches and creams run by the Americans. But if we ain't running the situation and we ain't behind the steering wheel and it ends up going loose, we got no control over it. That's why that quote is so important. Because no matter how bad we may govern this nation, or however bad it may be, we are in the driver's seat. We control it.
Can I talk a little psychology a little bit?
Yeah.
See, we also have to come against the psychology that everything black is bad, because what we've been put into, Malcolm X you used to say it, that the white man ice is colder, and through propaganda, we've been always told that if it's black, it's whack. Like when you see a black person in position, the mayor of DC caught in the bathroom smoking crack. You know what I mean? Obama being in office, he ain't do nothing for black
What
people.
picture is that?
Or you will see all these black organizations, and then you don't see anything moving. It's because, if we being real, black people don't trust black people, and black people aren't used to being in control of anything. And when we are, we seem to squander it, or we're easily bought, we're easily bribed. You look at Africa. You could look at Africa as a whole and being like, look at what Africa is already doing. They ain't even controlling their stuff entirely. So our first thought is that if it's ran by black people, it's not gonna work. That's like the baseline. If we're really being
Word.
honest, maybe not for us, but for a lot of us, that's our
Yep.
baseline psychology. And we really don't like talking about this kind of stuff because it makes us look at us and we want to have this like pride about ourselves. But in reality, it's a huge cultural low self-esteem that we dealing with. And we
Indeed, bro.
don't want to talk about it because everybody gets uncomfortable and just want to attack you for saying it.
Indeed. Any black business owner can bear witness to what you're saying. Like if if it's basic stuff like beads, jewelry, incense, lotions and shit like that, we trust black people for that. But I remember a minister in the nation I was a part of back in the day say, I don't trust black people for touching wires. He was like, our hands is too big. And the funny thing, the ironic thing is years later, now that's all I do is wire. You know what I'm saying? And so we think that when it comes to a black person, that if it's something that's technical or advanced, you need to get somebody. It's almost like if you think about it, like if you watch football or basketball, right? And a black coach is a part of a team, specifically in the NFL, or even a black quarterback, anything that requires smarts, intelligence, and genius, we say that we need a white person to do that. We cannot trust a black person to do it. So when a black person gets fired as a coach, he didn't have the right system or they didn't respond to the system. But when a white person
And he
gets
rarely
fired,
gets another job.
exactly, exactly. And when a white person gets fired, it's like, oh, the GM didn't give him a chance. He didn't give him the players that he needed, or he didn't have full personnel control. And it's like, if any, like, so now that you're in the trades emoji, we can have a different conversation. You and I both know that once you got into whatever trade that you was in, you knew you as black people and your other black co-workers, y'all were the ones that stayed later. Y'all were the ones that showed up early. All of those other
Oh
counterparts that you had.
man, you got to walk faster. You got to take
Yep,
shorter breaks.
yep,
all
yep,
of that.
yep.
And
Follow.
also,
Good, bro.
let me say this: one of the things, even with that, that low self esteem, one of the things that just irks me, right, is that, they say, oh, we need them for smart, so he didn't fit the system. Listen, talent shows itself. If you're smart, you don't need to tell people you're smart or, oh, well, I just got to be in the right environment. No, if I'm smart, I can function anywhere. I just prefer to be in a place that's comfortable. But if you're smart, you're smart. You don't need to prove that to nobody or he didn't give him a chance. If he can coach, he can change the culture. It's like
Right,
Chris Paul. Wherever
right,
team Chris Paul goes, they become good. It does
right.
not matter who the coach is. It don't matter who the GM is.
Yep.
Wherever Chris Paul goes, he is able to change the team, just like LeBron James. Because if you have talent, it shows itself. I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
keep saying to you, oh, well, I got talent. It's like what we say before. If you're an attractive person, you don't need to keep telling people that you're attractive. People will see it by its own nature.
Right, right.
Y'all
100.
gotta let me go. Y'all gotta let me go all the way back to Barudi's conversation because now the thought came to me when he was talking about you need some college level of education for those professions. He is
Let's do it.
exactly right. However, here's the kicker, and this is why they don't want us in the unions in mass. When you're in the union, you do have mandatory classes that you take, and by the time you're a journeyman, you have an associate's and sometimes even a bachelor's degree in whatever your trade is, like
Right.
construction management or something like that. However, that school is paid for by the union, sir. You
Yep.
literally, if an 18-year-old, 19, even somebody who went to college for a year and was like, I don't want to do this is crazy. Going to the union, you can get a journeyman getting paid 30 some, 40 some dollars an hour in a few years with a
Yep.
degree, and you will have zero debt.
Yep.
That is a fact. You
Yep.
can have a home in your 20. You can have everything that you can have, quote unquote, the American dream with absolutely zero debt. And
Yeah.
there's not just you can be an electrician where there's very low load on your body. You can do stuff plumbing, HVAC. They have riggers. They have boiler makers. There's so many unions. There's so much that comes in the building, and we are not in it. The company I work for right now, full of Mexicans. It is insane because they smart. They say we're gonna come here and we're gonna get into these things. Black folks, we sit up there and clap hands when we hear, yeah, black women are the most educated. They're not the most educated. They're just the most in college. And you know what that leads to? College debt. Like
Yes.
like 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 we could clap about being educated all we want, but there's something. There is an invisible line there. There's a huge invisible line there. Be very clear.
Let me add to what you're saying, bro. Let me add to what you're saying. I myself got to where I am today by paying for my education up front. Everything that I got in my industry, because I believe that I have at least a bachelor's degree, if not an associate's degree, worth of certifications in electronic security. I took class upon class upon class upon class upon class. And when I started listening to success literature, I began to understand that your education was in your own hands. And so I started paying for it up front. And so I know that over the years, because I used to give 10% of my earnings to education since I want to say 2011, really actually 2009. And so therefore, when you invest in your own education, it kind of eliminates the whole debt thing. And you know what I'm saying? So you could go the union route or you could go the upfront route, but we don't all have to go the same route. And I think that that's very important for people to understand. Number one, and number two, I think that, and this is a personal passion of mine that I've been really kind of getting into lately. I think that Black people who want to be teachers really need to invest in learning alternative methods of learning, because I think the problem with our children and some of us was that we were subjected to a one size fit all learning model, and what ended up happening was is that because that model didn't fit us, we didn't succeed. There's a lot of brothers and sisters who turned to the streets not because they just was a criminal or their mothers and fathers was a criminal. It's because they failed at the school system, not realizing that they were smart, but they just did not what you call it. They just did not learn the way everybody else learns, and nobody was there to tell them, here's another way you can learn. You're still smart. And so, if we can create a situation, again, it goes back to this nation. If we can create a situation where we can control this, I think that that would be ideal, because you'd see a lot more genius coming out of African American Blacks than you do now, simply because a lot of us don't learn the same way. A lot of us don't learn the same way.
Can I
Yeah,
can
and
I can I say something? Cause
yeah, go ahead.
cause I cause I have to go on walking into this meeting, man.
Sure,
I want
bro.
to speak directly to Baruti's comment. Baruti, us African Americans, we're in America and ain't seen as Americans, and we have no problems with staying. So therefore, us not being seen by some of the current Liberians as automatically Liberian, they will learn to love us. How about that? And
And
that's one of those
also,
things where we'll say the same thing that we put up with in America, and we'll stay with it and we'll just shrug our shoulders like, well, that's the way it is. But when it comes to Africa, it's a huge problem. It's a
and
red
also,
flag. It's a deal breaker. That can't be a
and
deal breaker.
also, let me address this point real simple, and let me just expand on his point, and let me just say this in a simpler manner. That's it's straight up point. What connections do African Americans have of Rwanda, history wise? What do African Americans have a connection with in Rwanda? That's a simple question. What we got? You don't have that same connection like what we do with Liberians, where we have a history, where I can bring up historical connections. Rwanda ain't got no child to the slave trade. Y'all just there. Let's be real. Y'all ain't got no connection in Rwanda, whether or not it's slave trade or citizenship wise. Now, yes, Baruti, you are right that we are not automatically seen as Liberian citizens yet. Yet. But eventually, they will see us as their brothers and sisters because we already have that connection. We just need to reconnect. It's like that, bro. It's like those cousins that you know exist, but you haven't been in connection with in a long time. And once you know each other and y'all get to meet each other, you're like, oh yeah, we family. Oh yeah, yeah. Like that's just how it is with us with Liberians. Whereas Rwanda, we ain't got no connection with them. Like ain't nobody Rwandese, ain't nobody Hutu, Tutsi, or Hutu. We don't have that connection. So that's the point. But dude, is there any last things you would like to say?
Uh, Nah, brother, I'm good, man. I'm glad that you guys had me on today. I love this conversation that we was having. We need to have much more of them in the public forum. I know that you've been doing your work. I want to continue to congratulate you and thank you for the work that you've been doing, and I contribute when I can. Um, I think that I don't know. I think that the questions that we're answering are good questions, but I think that they kind of distract from the real point, which is what we're saying is that of what we're saying and why we're saying it. I think that you and I definitely have to have that STEM show. And it looks like I didn't know Emoji was in the skills trade, so maybe it'd be me, you, and him. But we definitely have to book that show eventually because we think along the same wavelengths, and that's what's beautiful about the BIO.
Yeah, so remember to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Also tune into some of our BAIO news that will be coming on later today. I got some videos that I will be uploading today. Make sure that you join us at the lounge. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern. Please do that. Please join the lounge. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure that you sign up to the website and we can get you into the Discords. So once again, thank you guys for coming. Once again, sign up to the website at blafricstan.org. It says register. Follow us on Instagram at blafricstan. Follow us on Twitter at blafricstan and the real BIO. It was great with this live stream. I am once again Jabari and peace, fam.